All right, you're welcome to the STEM Club. This is Introduction to CSS. So we're going to be having our CSS class today, and we'll be discussing more about CSS. CSS is actually the cascading style sheet. So HTML is the fundamental picture. Okay, HTML is the fundamental picture of how everything is. It's like the framework, it's like the skeleton, while CSS is like the muscle you put on the HTML. So in our previous classes, we dealt with HTML. We talked about the syntaxes. We talked about various tags. We just dealt with the basics. The remaining, you need to advance yourself in. Oh, so this is an index page that we were creating for our previous you know, site. Now you can see the doc type HTML, HTML language English, head, meta charset UTF-8. It's a tag you need to set so that your documents can be saved. Then we have meta name, viewpoint, content width, and initial scale 1.0. Then remember it was SkyTop College that we were trying to create. Very good. Now you can see all this tag here. Then we close head. You can see all this tag. You can see here. What did I put here? Let me make this bigger. You can see here there is a link relationship equals style sheet, and the href to that link is style.css because I've already created a style.css. But don't worry, I'm going to be showing you something on style.css that you need to know about. So how we link our style.css together. Okay, that's what I'm going to be creating. So um, let me put this. So the HTML is the fundamental structure of every web page. It can be visually unappealing on its own because it's just like a framework, like a skeleton. All right, so the cascading is what we actually put on it. So whenever we want to design, like want to put out a design for the cascading, put it out on a separate CSS form. Then we link the CSS form to the HTML form using this. We'll link it together using that. Do you understand? That's how we create it. That's how we do it. So we link it together using that. So now let's talk about CSS. Let's talk about CSS anatomy. Let's talk about the anatomy. All right. So first thing you want to know about is the selector. Okay. Let's talk about the selector. First thing you want to know about is the selector. Um. So I can have a P selector with my brace bracket. I can have a declaration color colon blue semicolon, and then I close the brace bracket. This is actually how CSS runs. Okay, now my selector P, what it's trying to do, it is telling me about that all the P tags that I have here, the CSS I'm using is going to affect that tag. So if I change all my P tags to blue, if I change all my P tags to green or whatever, it changes. All right. Now the color, this is the selector. It is selecting the P tag in the HTML file that you have. The color is the declaration. All right. It's the declaration block. And then we have a declaration to be color blue. We have the property, which is blue. Do you understand? You can call it a property or you can call it a value to be blue. Okay, so the property to be blue. So now we have various kinds of CSS. We can do what we call the in-style CSS, or we can do the external CSS. But I'm going to be teaching you the external CSS because the in-style CSS is a whole lot of stress. As you're coding your HTML, you're actually styling your HTML code. But I feel we should, you know, do the CSS, we should do the one external. So we have inline style. We have inline style where you actually go about your HTML. Let's say this is HTML. You go about your HTML, you put in a style, you put in a style in your HTML, then you put in the color you need. Um, right? Just as if you're typing your CSS and then you close it like this way. But before you do that, you need to input something. There is something you need to put in um, before you say you want to style like that. Okay, so for you to run things like this, after the head tag, you should be adding style tag. After the head, you should be adding opening the style tag on your HTML file. If you're going to be doing inline styling, you should be doing that, adding the style tag to your HTML. So that's for internal style sheet. Okay, you add the style tag in your HTML, and then this is inline styling. Okay, so if you're doing the internal styling, you add the style tag in your HTML, and you can select all the paragraphs to be green, you can select all the paragraphs to be blue. Now what we did here, let's see what we did here. And this is a student's file, so I'm just going to save it and see what happened in the student's file. Precious new beginning. Let's see this. So you can see, what is it? You see the row, you see that p tag, what we did here with the tag here, I put color red. You can see that it is affecting the paragraph that we use. This is what we call the inline styling. Okay, it is called the inline styling. Let's see if we want to add in another, let's say we want to add in another, let's say put in more paragraphs to this. Let me open another tag. Okay, Control S, and let's see, does this um, inline style, does it affect, does the inline style affect? We're going to have to see that now. 1 second. Okay, I'm just going to reload this. You see this? You see it doesn't affect in any way. So what happened is that it only affected what I used internally, the inline styling I use internally. When I put p style equals color red and I closed it that way, that's all that happened. All right, you see these other paragraphs, it doesn't affect it. Now, what if I want to put in internal styling? What do I do? From the head, I open up what we call the style tag. All right, I open up what we call the style tag, and then I make my declaration. I put in the p tag. I want to ensure that every p tag have a color. um let's put a color, let's say color white, and semicolon. I want to make sure that they have a font size, let's say font size of let's say 20 pixel, semicolon, and then I close. This is what we call the internal styling. Then I close my style. Remember, it should be just after the head tag. All right, I close my style. Okay, so let's see. Control S. Let's see what happens to all the paragraphs there. You can see here that they increased in size, but because I already have an inline style to this paragraph, it doesn't affect this. This is white. What if I remove the inline style to that paragraph? Let's see what happens. This is the inline style. Just make it as P, and I just only have this declaration here. Okay, so reload, and that is that. You see that the size of the text actually increased when we changed our font size to 20 pixels. All right, so this is the internal styling, and it's a bit stressful because you're going to be having all your styles. You're going to be having all your styles in one input. Okay, all your styles will be in one input. All your styles is going to just be recorded in one place, one place, one place, one place. So my students, you guys have done well actually, because you've gone very far. You did the HTML, you did the CSS, and I'm going to show you guys at the end of this video. I'm going to show you guys what my students were able to create, what they were able to build for their school. But it just needs a little bit of touching and all that. But it was fantastic, and they'll keep on growing like that. I'm really proud of you guys. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's get to it. Okay, so this is the internal styling. All right. Okay, so let's talk about the external style sheet. All right, let's talk about the external style sheet. We're gonna be talking about the external style sheet. So we have already we have a naked HTML file, and then instead of using the in styling for the HTML, what you're gonna do is that we're going to move it to the external. Do you understand? We push it out to the external styling for the HTML. That's how it's going to be. So let's talk about that. So we're not going to be using this style tag anymore or putting the declarations inside the HTML after the head tag. Let's cancel that and let's move to using uh, you know, linking the files together. So what I'm going to do now here is that I'm going to link this file to this. I'm going to save this as, let me save this as, save as, all right, so I'm going to save this as all files. I'll put this as style1.css and I'll put this in my desktop because that's where precious this file the student created is the HTML. So we're going to be using that. Okay. Remember, style. I saved it as .css. Please understand that .css. Okay. So we don't get a mix up and all. .css. Okay. That's what you do. Then you save. Then I come here. What's going on? Then I come here, right, where I have my, okay, so where I have my precious, I come to this part here, okay, and then I link the file. I go under the head tag and I link, I say, I link this, link, you put in link href equals, okay, what did I save it as? Style1.css, all right, just one apostrophe, you don't need to that, and then the relationship, you put a relationship, rel equals to what? Style sheet. All right. And then you close. That's all. What I've done now is that I've linked it to the style 1.css that I created. Okay. I've linked the file to the style 1.css that I created. So now in that style 1.css, let's go here now. Okay, so Control A, get out. I'm going to make my declaration. I'm going to put in a declaration and I'll just put this as the color green and then close this, Control S. Okay, so that means all the paragraphs, what I just did now, all the paragraphs is going to be under the color of green. And then let's see what it's going to give us. Let me see. Style1.css. Let's see what give us. All right, so now it wasn't giving us the white. So when you link this, link href style1.css, you link that style sheet, you put in your title, you close your head tag after the title. Close the head tag after the title tag because now you're actually linking the CSS. So close it, don't put it at the last part or here where we used to put our head tag. Now we're putting in the style sheet. So we close the head tag after the title. All right, so Control S this and then let's check it out. Let's see what it gives us. You see it's green. Now I'm going to change that color. Let's change the declaration of that. Mm, let me make it something like magenta. Actually, I don't really know how that color is, but let's just see what's going to give us. Now, you see, that's magenta. So with CSS, you have various colors. You have a lot of colors that you can use. A lot of colors that you can use. You understand? Like colors that's really, really going to, make sense. And I know. So colors that you can use and all that. Okay. So that's how we link, right? We're linking that web page. That's how we link. All right. So this is for linking the CSS file. Okay. So what we're going to be talking about next, we're going to be talking about the review. We talked about linking the CSS file. We talked about the HTML inline styling, external style sheets, and the likes. So one second, one second. Let's move to the next. All right, so now we're going to be talking about type. Now, remember that declarations, okay, declarations are a fundamental part of CSS, okay? So we need to declare, we need to know the type of thing that we're doing and all that. And that's why when we use our P selector, we had to use a declaration. When we dealt with this, we used the P selector, we had a declaration, and the value is magenta, all right? So okay, so we're talking about type now, the type of selectors, the things that we're going to be selecting. Do you understand? So now, let's see. In here, do we have a H1? Yes, we have H1, which is welcome to Skytop College. So what we're going to do here is that we're going to ensure we will select our H1. Let's select the H1. Sorry about that. Select the H1 tag, and then we're going to ensure that the color, let's change the color, okay? So let the color be, let's put it at maroon, okay? And close this declaration, Control S. So let's see, all right? So let's see what this gives to us. Now remember that we're putting in style, inline um, styling. So this, 1 second. I see that is not working after selecting the H1. Let me see. H1, div is H2. So what I'm trying to do is that all the H1 that has actually been selected, okay, all the H1 tags that have been selected, or all H1 in this place, putting out, I mean, Control S. I'm putting out a selector to it to ensure. I wonder why it's not popping here. Let me change this color. Let me see something. Let me change it to white. Okay, let's see. This is my H1. Okay, so I'm wondering what is happening. Why isn't this student's code giving me the H1 that we used? It appears that she didn't type H1, she typed HL. So I'm going to change that to H1. You see, any little mistake you make on your um, tags is going to affect, okay? So I'm going to change this back. I'm going to change this back to magenta or maroon and Control S, okay? So let's take a look at that. She put it as HL instead of H1, and that's where the issue was. Okay, first of all, let me see. H1, Control S. I just saw that. You see that? If you make one single mistake, if you're making just one single mistake, so in my class, I'm going to write with you guys so that we can understand together, understand the concept together. All right, just one single mistake and everything might be falling apart. So you need to check your codes, you need to check your tags, what you're using, you need to check it continuously, all right, or everything is going to really fall apart. Okay, all right. So this is what we call, this is like the type of selector that we're dealing with, types of selectors and things that we should know on that aspect. One second. Next thing that we need to understand is the universal. Understanding the universal concept, all right? Targeting all elements on the page, all right? Okay. Um, we don't really use all those kind of cases, all right? So selecting all the parent elements of the page, all right? So there is a tag that we use, and that declaration we use is the star, or what do we call it? We call it a star key, right? That star, right? So it's that star key. That's what we're going to use, and we're going to be imputing it here in our CSS. Let's put this here. Let me put it. Okay, so um, I'll put a star, and let's make a declaration. I'll put a border. This is going to affect everything, like the whole page. It's going to affect the whole page. So I'm going to put a border of 1 pixel. Pixel, that means how thick it's going to be. 1 pixel solid red. That's what I need. And then I'll close this and Control S. So let's see how it affects everything. Okay, let's see how it affects everything. You see this? It is actually what putting the whole stuff together and all that with the borderline and all. So we get that. So in our next class, we'll be discussing more and moving on to other things as the universal and more tags like that. All right. So see you guys in the next class. Stay tuned. This is Educational Access. Bye.